So after registering the instance of the Azure Cosmos DB, right now we can communicate with the database. So to do so, what we need to do actually is to create the repository and the associated like interface and stuff like that. The first thing we will start with is creating a model that represents the bank account that we have it available for us over here. So this is, sorry, a wallet, not a bank account. So those are the details associated with a model. So let's go ahead and implement that. As you can notice over here, actually, we have, let's create a new model, add class wallet. Let's call it wallet. Let's use the new C# feature by having it just like that, and then public. And this wallet, it's going to contain, of course, an ID. Okay, because right now we are using the nullable feature enabled, so we have to say that the string is nullable. Then we have type. Then we have, let's check, bank name, IBAN. Okay, bank name. We are going to have a property called name, which is like, you can give your account, a wallet, a nickname, whatever it is. IBAN for the bank. And we have account type. User ID. I'm always forgetting this, basically. We need to have Swift. And balance. And if we take a look at the PayPal, what it contains is actually, yeah, we still need the currency. For the PayPal, we need the username. So this is the model that represents a bank account and a PayPal for now, but we can add other things. And as I've said, this is the power of the Cosmos DB. You can just open it, add your own entity, and that's it. But we have a little thing that, as you can notice, those are like, it starts with a small letter, like it's a camel case, but here in C# we use the Pascal case. So we need to use the JSON property to actually, because I think it's a case sensitive, so we have to be aware of that. So let's use the JSON property name, system.text.json.serializer, and let's just identify the name as small letters. By doing so, so this is everything. So that's good. But one thing I actually need to do is I don't need the account type to be as a string, because I need to store it in the database as a string, as you can see over here. But from a coding wise, I need to deal with that as an enum. So, but at the same time, I don't want to store the enum as an integer over here, because I don't like this. Like this one have the value 0 or 1. It's not very efficient. So what we'll be doing is we will create an enum over here. Let me do that. Public enum, wallet type. And for example, let's add the type that we have, account equals 0, cash 1, PayPal 3, add other kind of wallets later. So I will move that to a new file. So this account type, I will make it as account type. Just something like that. Sorry, wallet type. Okay, my bad. It's the type, not the account type. This account type is for the bank account. So for the type over here, I'm going to say wallet type, and it is the type. So this type is actually the enum value, which is not going to be stored in the database. We are going to store a string. So this one is not the same for this one. So we are going to create another one called public string type as, or I would call it type name, wallet type name, because this is the string representation of the type, okay? And this is the one that will be stored and read to the database. But this type, what you are going to do is that I'm going to make this one read only. And what I'll be doing is create a function that translates the name over here to actually a type over here. So I will open this one and I will add like other equals 4. And then what I will say is get wallet type from string. And then I will pass over here the type name. So I'm going to create this function, generate method, get wallet type from string, and okay. So right now we have this function, and what I'll be doing, I will use the new switch, case syntax that's available in C#. Switch. Sorry, it's switch. And if the value is bank account, is it bank account? PayPal bank. Okay, if the value is bank, let's make it bank account actually, or just bank. Why call it like that? Okay, I hate naming. I'm not good at that. Let's just call it bank. So the value that you want to retrieve is wallet type.bank. And then if it's PayPal, retrieve wallet type PayPal. If it's cash, cash. And if it's anything else, this is one that you use underscore to define, like in the normal switch case syntax, this is the default, and you just say wallet type dot other. Good, so let me just put this functionality at the end. And here we go. So right now when I retrieve the data, I have this type, which is actual enum, and I store this one in the database. So that's very good. So you are going to tell me that why I didn't parse the enum exactly and put the value over here in the type. The reason why I did this is because the enum always, like right now, this is the perfect case when you have bank and PayPal and cash. But in some cases, like there is a long name that's different between the database and the enum itself. So basically, it's preferable to create something like a middleware in the middle, and you can make the translation directly from string to enum explicitly, even if they have the same value. Like in our case, I called it bank account, and this is bank. So if you make it a direct parse, it's not going to work. So we have created the database model. Right now, what you want to do is go ahead and create the repository of that one. So I will create the interface first. I'll open the interface, add class. Sorry, it's an interface. Or let me show you something very cool. You can install, go to tools, extensions, manage extension. This is the perfect extension that you can see, and search for add a new file. Like, this is the most productive extension that you can find for Visual Studio. This is amazing. So after you install this extension, you can create files very easily by just hitting Shift F2, and boom, like, you're going to see this dialog that's very powerful for you by typing IWalletsRepository.cs. It's going to create an interface for you automatically, actually, as you can see. Like, this is amazing, right? You can create folders, you can create multiple files without the need to open that long, huge dialog for no reason. That's good. So we have this interface. I am not a big fan for having an interface, a single interface for all your repositories, and then you have like get, read, delete. I prefer to create an interface for each of our entities, because always the functionalities are different, and it's rarely cases when they are having the same functionality. So right now, I'm going to type task enumerable of type wallet. Nice. And get wallets or list by user ID async. So this functionality is going to retrieve all the wallets for a single by the user ID. This is what you have agreed on. I don't think we need the functionality to retrieve all the wallets for all the users. That's not needed. It's by a user ID. Awesome. So after we created the interface, let's create the implementation for that one. Going to class. Sorry, let's use my favorite extension, wallets. I'll call it Cosmos Db IWalletsRepository.cs, because this is the implementation. Actually, the Azure Functions will use the interface, not the implementation. So you can call it Cosmos. If you would like, you can follow by SQL, and you don't need to make any Cosmos stuff. So let me get rid of those, or you can click this. It's going to remove that for you. That's awesome. So let me implement that interface. So we are using this. Actually, we are going, in all the repositories, we are going to use this using a crossover OR. So I'm going to show you some amazing functionality of the new C#. I can create a new file, a new C# file. I'll call it global usings.cs, and I will just say using ak expenses .server.data.interfaces, and we need the models as well, and we need the repositories. So those are going to be used almost like somehow in every file. So you can put those in a separated file and then add the global keyword, just like that. So what this one is going to do is actually all the C# classes in your project going to have access for those by default. That's amazing, right? So look at that. This one is available right now without adding the using over here. So our files are going always to be clean and neat. Right now, if you want to check this, let's try to implement this interface. So we have this. Nice. So all that you have written until now is C#. Right now we're going to write the first Cosmos DB query. So let me show you how. We will be basically injecting an instance of the Cosmos client. So the same, Microsoft.Azure.Cosmos is going to be needed for every repository. So I'll just add it in the global using. So by adding global using Azure.Cosmos. Microsoft.Azure.Cosmos. Okay, very good. So right now we should have it available. That's right. And I'll call it DB. And then we will add okay, we need, here we go, generate constructor for me because I'm lazy and I don't want to generate a constructor. That's amazing. So right now we have this. So look at that. That's amazing, right? we are going to type our first query. So first, we are going to throw an exception. If string is null or white space user ID, then throw an argument exception. User ID is not null, because we always need the user ID for this function. This is the first thing I'm going to do. The second thing is I'm going to write the query, which is a string says select from C, which is the name of the container, where c.userid equals for our user ID. But you're going to note that if you are familiar with that, this one is going to lead to what's called like SQL injection vulnerability, right? Like we are passing the data as it is in the query, so we need this to be parameterized. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to type user ID, just like this, having it as a parameter. So right now, this is the query text, var query equals new query definition, and let's pass our query text, and I'll tab ahead with parameter. Yes, this is it actually. So you have the @user ID and its values user ID. So right now Microsoft will be responsible to replacing this parameter by itself. So that's very good. Now we have the query, we have the query text, all is good. So right now let's execute this query by typing var result equals await. Sorry, we need to fetch the container first. This is the Cosmos client of your database. But under the database there is a container, and under the container there is items. So we need to fetch the container by typing var container equals db.get container, and the name of the container is, okay, the database ID. Database ID is going to be, let me have it for now, private const read only, because the connection string that we have for the Azure, for the Cosmos DB account, which contains multiple databases. So Cosmos, database name equals AK expenses tracker DB. We're going to change that by having them as an option. And then container name equals wallets. But for now, just have it like that. We're going to use the database name. Cool. So after having the container, we are going to get the iterator that's going to iterate over our items and retrieve them for us. So we're going to type container.get item query iterator, and it's of type wallet, and let's pass the container. The query. Okay, like that. So this one is going to give us the iterator. Right now we have the iterator dot. Here you can check. As you can see, has more results. Has more results means Azure Cosmos DB doesn't retrieve, if you have like 1 million items, it's not going to retrieve the 1 million items for you, because it's a database and a service, and there is a bandwidth for that service available for that network and stuff like that. So it's going to retrieve you at chunks by maybe 1,000 or stuff like that. The thing is that we are always make sure that every user has only up max to 10 wallets, nothing more. So we don't care about this, but this one is going to be used in the transactions queries. But for now, it's not needed. So we are going to say var result equals await iterator dot read next async. Here we go. So result dot, you can see over here that we have the items called, let me check, it's called results. Where is that? The resource, yeah. So we can just have return result.response resource. Sorry, I'm always missing the names of the functionalities, but this is it. Actually, this is the functionality that's going to list ListByUserIdAsync. So this one is going to retrieve users to make sure that the wallets of a specific user. To make sure that this one is working, let's register that in the dependency injection container. I mean the repository. So I will go to the dependency injection and I will add another function over here, void add repositories, that services, and let's add those as scope. That scope will be IWallets. You see the power of the global usings. Like I don't need to care about Cosmos Wallets repository. Okay, so I've registered that right now. Let's add it to over here. Builder.services.add. Awesome. So we have it right now. That's amazing. The last thing I want to do is to go to the ListWallets functionality that we have created at the end, and I'm just going to make a very sample code. So right now there is some code over here. I will get rid of that. As you can see, I'll get rid of all of this code. It's not needed for me, at least for now. And for the user ID, as we have said during the development, we are going to make that only user ID. We'll be using that later when we will add Azure Active Directory P2C and there is an access token and stuff like that. So we have the user ID, and let's basically add private, read only, IWallets, repository, like that. Wallets repo. Let's add the using, and then let's add this instance to the constructor. I don't like to add instance to the constructor, so you can type add parameters to ListWallets. I like Visual Studio for Windows. It's very productive. Okay, cool. So we have it right now. All that you have to do is to call that functionality by saying var wallets equals await wallets repo dot list by user ID async, and then I'll pass the user ID, and object results means it's going to retrieve 200, and here you can pass the object you want to retrieve. So for now it's going to be wallets. We are going to change that later in the next session by having more readable responses, but I just want to make sure that this functionality is working fine. So I will set a breakpoint over here and I will run the project. Okay, let's set this as startup. Set as startup project. Yeah, here we go. Let's run it, and in the meanwhile I'll open up the Postman. Awesome. So this is our functionality, ListWallets. So basically what we are going to do is that we will be using the Postman professionally. Okay, I'm going to show you amazing features available for this, and yeah, you're going to see a lot of amazing things. So basically we will use somehow all the functionalities to mock the UI, because we don't have UI right now. So the first thing I will be doing in Postman is create a new collection, and I will call this collection AK expenses tracker. And yeah, for now we don't have any kind of authentication. Then I will add a request. So for now I'll keep things simple. I will just copy this URL, throw it over here, and this is all what I need to do. But let's save this request to this collection, and I will call it list users wallets. Save. Awesome. So we have this request over here, and right now we are going to send this request. Let's see what's going on. Okay, we got internal server error. That's interesting. Let's check what's wrong with this one. It says executed list wallets failed system.data.com format of the initialization string doesn't conform to specification starting at index 0. That's a very interesting error. So let's go back for this one and let's check. So I will basically be checking okay, so I will stop the app, and this is a very interesting error. I actually have no idea about this one. Let me make sure that this one over here is working fine, and it's, oh, sorry. Yeah, it's my bad. Here I'm passing the string directly of the Azure Cosmos DB. So this is the connection string, which is not. I want to pass config like that. Oh, good. I was worried about the error because it wasn't very clear, but I said because of it say that something related to the string, and this is the only place we're using a string, stuff like that, so we should be good right now. Because we need to pass the value of this key and not this key as a connection string. So let's go for this one, and okay, we have it up and running. Cool, let's hit send. Cool, so we got the request over here. That's amazing. I'll make the font just a little bit smaller. Okay, click F11 to go through the data, and let's see right now what's going to happen over here. So we have the query. That's amazing. And we get the container. We have a container reference over here. We got the item query iterator and read next async. Hopefully it's going to retrieve the data correctly. Okay, and here we go. We got another error that says, okay, it has some kind of okay, let me see this exception. Doesn't indicate success. Not found 404 substatus. Okay, that looks also interesting. Let me go back to the database, and oh, okay, I call this one expenses tracker DB. While okay, that's okay. Expenses tracker DB. Let me make sure that I didn't misspell it. The usual expenses. I always do that. I always like call this database like this, or call the expenses. Okay. To test this for now, I'm going to accept that hard truth actually and use this wrong name in my code, and I'm going to fix that later. So, but I want to show you the first query of your data from Azure Cosmos DB. I hope you are excited as I am. So let's go back to Postman. Here we go. Let's hit send. Go to Visual Studio. Amazing. Let's go through the same steps. Okay, we get the iterator. Wait a little bit. We should get data, and here we go. We got data. Yeah, that's right. Let's open the result. And look at that. We have, let's check the resource actually. And we have 2 wallets. That's amazing. Look at that. We have a saving. We have a balance of 200, bank X, USD. This is the IBAN. This is the ID. We don't have a name for that. That makes sense. Type other. Type name is null. Okay, we need to review that to check why we don't have a type over here, because we already have type bank. Okay, that's okay. But we got data. That's amazing. And this is the PayPal one. Also the account type, yeah, it's null. That makes sense. Type is also other over here, and type name is also null. So we need to check what's wrong with that. We have the currency, the user ID, the username, and all of this stuff. So our first query is working somehow fine. We need to fix the error that has showed up for us, but this is how you can make a query for your Azure Cosmos DB actually. So yeah, I hope you liked it. And if you did that using SQL by creating columns and entity framework and all this headache, let me know the difference. Let me know what you think right now. And if you would like to open a discussions about that on the Discord server that we have, so go ahead and check the link in the description box. So thank you so much for watching. In the next video, we're going to fix those little issues that we have, and let's start creating the DTO by sending those data to the clients in a more meaningful way. So thank you so much for watching, everyone, and see you in the next video.